Hello. Welcome back to the Lighten Up channel, Lighten Up with Bo. Nice to have you today on Lesson 71 in A Course in Miracles. What is A Course in Miracles? In case you didn't know, Course in Miracles is a spiritual text guided to help you undo all the misperceptions about who you are so that you can remember the truth of your being, that you are an unlimited soul, that you are a fearless expression of the one creation, which is really what we all are. You can call it the enlightened self, the Christ self, the Buddha self, Jesus, the man awakened Christ consciousness, which is really a term to describe the consciousness that we all are. It's the unseparated, unified identity. Most of us think we are not that. So the Course in Miracles is meant to basically guide you back to that so that you can walk through this dream of the human experience living as light, living the opposite of serious, the opposite of stressed out about everything. Not because the outside changes, but because you know who you are. And a healed mind, there's nothing that it cannot be, because it is all things. So we're on lesson 71. Whether you're doing the lessons or not, my only intention with this channel is every time you watch a video that you leave a little bit lighter than when you arrived, a little bit more at ease. Maybe you won't even know why. Who cares? You don't need to know why. If you feel lighter, embrace that, allow that. So before I actually get into reading the lesson, I like to kind of break it down now as just kind of the quick version and a couple things. If you ever want to reach out to me, you want to do a one-on-one, you just need some support, you want to be on our list for the upcoming newsletter I'm going to launch, you can go to lightenupmovement.com. That's my website. That's where everything that I do, from videos to talks, I even made some fun little I made these symbols to represent living lighter. And they're not meant to be a bypass, but for me, if we're going to dress these bodies up in things that communicate, I might as well communicate what I need, which is to not take everything so seriously. So there's some fun little hats with a little happy heart and an arrow pointing up. And I wear these things just to remind me to not take it all so seriously, but also maybe I can be that reminder for someone else to don't forget to not take this dream so seriously, that what you are is untouchable. So that's all on my website. Look forward to hearing from you if you want to reach out. So today's lesson is only God's plan for salvation will work. Only God's plan for salvation will work. What does that really mean? So the ego has its own plan. The system of fear has its own plan. And its plan is everything but light, but inside you. Its plan is to look outside. Its plan is to seek for another therapy, another spiritual group, another ecstatic dance event. It doesn't matter. It's always seeking for another solution. It doesn't really care what that solution is. It just wants you seeking outside yourself. There's a very famous line in A Course in Miracles that says the ego's mantra can be summed up as seek, but don't actually ever find. Seek, but don't find. Keep seeking, good job, but we don't want you actually to find. We want you to get lost in seeking. So I guess if I could sum up today's lesson, it's really that only God's plan for freedom will work. Because God's plan, unlimited life's plan, is a plan that has to do with looking inward instead of outward. Whether you call that meditation, doing these 365 lessons, whatever path points you to the inner investigation so that you can uncover the misbeliefs and the distortions of love inside your mind, the judgments, and to release them so that you wipe the clouds that you thought were real away from the truth, which is the shining sunlight behind it is what you've always been. That the clouds are just the smoke screens that you project outside of you in the seeming sky of your reality to keep you distracted with the clouds and the weather instead of remembering again that you are the sun, the shining light, the eternal expression of playful, fearless joy that God created us all as. It's a state of mind. It's a soul. It's a being that has nothing to do with a body. So Only that plan will work looking inward, never looking outward. So now we're going to officially begin to read the lesson. Only God's plan for salvation will work. Lesson 71 in A Course in Miracles. Listen for the words beneath the truth beneath the words. And again, if you're following along in the book, I might change the words to be more accessible to those that come here having no idea what the Course in Miracles is. You may not realize that the ego has set up a plan for salvation in opposition to God's. It is this plan in which you believe. And what it's saying is most of us at this point believe in the ego's plan more than God's. Matter of fact, most people actually think what they call God's plan, and it's actually the ego's plan. Since it is the opposite of God's, you also believe that to accept God's plan in place of the ego's is to be damned, to be lost. Right? So let me say that again. Most of us, because we believe that the ego's plan, we actually call that God's plan. We think whatever plan that the ego gave us, the outer plan, is the plan. To the ego mind, to accept the truth's plan, God's plan, is to lose something, to be lost, to be damned, to be imprisoned, to be, instead of being to be set free, we feel like it's going to bind us. Don't take away all the juicy, yummy things that I love in the world. See, I knew this spirituality was nonsense. It's going to take away my life. What life? This sounds preposterous, of course. It actually says that. Yet after we have considered just what the ego's plan is, perhaps you will realize that however preposterous it may be, you do in fact believe it. So listen well to this lesson today. The ego's plan for freedom centers on holding judgments. It maintains that if someone else spoke or acted differently, if some external circumstance or event were changed, you would be free. Thus, the source of freedom is constantly perceived as outside yourself. Each judgment you hold is a declaration and an assertion in which you believe that says, if this were different, I would be saved. I would be free. The change of mind which is necessary for freedom is thus demanded of everyone and everything except yourself. So again, a short way to say what this lesson basically entails is the ego's plans for salvation is always if some person, some place, something, anything other than you changed. If once that changes, I'll be free. And I want you to feel into your heart, even if it makes you sad or you feel guilt, there's no guilt to be had. Just be radically honest. How often do we go, I want to be free so badly, but the government won't change. That group of people, an organization, they won't stop doing what they're doing. This won't change. That won't change. My boss won't change. My partner won't join me on this whatever. If we place the key to freedom to something outside of us changing, nothing will ever change. Your source of freedom is you. God's plan is looking inward and changing your mind. When you change your idea and your thoughts and your beliefs, your outer life automatically changes with it. Paragraph 3. Excuse me. The role assigned to your own mind, then, is simply to determine what, other than itself, must change if you are to be free. So meaning the role that we give our own mind in place of God's looks something like this. We just simply determine what other than ourself must change if we are to be free. According to this insane plan, any perceived source of freedom is acceptable, provided that it will not work. This ensures that the fruitless search will continue, that we will just keep searching with no answer, for the For the fantasy persists that although this hope has failed, there are still grounds for hope in other places and in other things. Another person will serve better. Another situation will offer me hope. One more person, one more job. Such is the ego's plan for your freedom. Certainly you can see how it is in strict accord with the ego's basic doctrine: seek, but do not find. For what could more certainly guarantee that you will not find freedom than to channel all your efforts into searching for it where it is not? I know this sounds too simple, but in your own way and in your own time, you find that the only path to freedom is a change of mind. And maybe you need a beautiful group of A Course in Miracles people or some community that helps you feel supported, that supports you in looking inward. But most of us just like to dress up our outsides with a different experience. This new dance group, this new spiritual community, it all seems lovely. But then you place your peace and your freedom based off your outer surroundings and changings. And nothing in the inner landscape changes. If they support changing your mind and looking inward and getting radically honest about your divisive beliefs, your separatist beliefs, your judgmental and condemning and critical beliefs, then we can set our mind free, remember the light we are, and set the world free. Paragraph 5. God's plan for freedom works simply because by following its direction, you seek for freedom where it really is. But if you are to succeed, as God promises you that you will, you must be willing to seek there only. And boy, this is where the ego gets triggered. See, I knew it. God's trying to take away my life. And what I'm trying to tell you is you can have your kids and your family and your cars and your job and all those things, but none of them make up who you are. They make up a version of who you dressed yourself up to be. You don't have to get rid of any of those things either. You can still stand in the middle of those things and go, but I'm none of these things, and that's my freedom. You must seek only in the inner landscape for freedom. You can still do all the other things, but don't kid yourself that any of them will bring you anything other than just a temporary illusion of joy. It says, otherwise, your purpose is divided. So it says, if you are to succeed, you must be willing to seek there only. Otherwise, your purpose is divided. If you try to do God's plan and ego's plan, to have your cake and eat it too. And you will attempt to follow two plans for freedom which are diametrically opposed in all ways. And guess what? The result can only bring confusion, misery, and a deep sense of failure and despair. Can you all be radically honest and laugh about it? We all wonder why we kind of basically feel a little bit miserable, somewhat confused, not really clear, kind of lost, and a little bit depressed, or whatever we describe it all the time. Take away all the pills and the temporary solutions with no pills and no money and all the things that we think make it better. And we just go inward. We go, this won't work. No way. You're going to tell me just to get quiet and do these lessons and go inside and meditate? That won't work. I need this other stuff also. We like to blame the world for why we feel afraid and miserable and lost and scared. But the reason we feel this way is because we're constantly trying to give our power to two different plans. How could our inner self not be constantly rocked? Paragraph 6, how can you escape all of this? Very simply, it says, the idea for today is the answer. Only God's plan for freedom will work. There can be no real conflict about this because there is no possible alternative to God's plan that will save you, that will set you free, that will liberate your mind. Remember, being saved is just having a liberated perception. God's is the only plan that is certain in its outcome, God's is the only plan that must succeed. So now let us go into the actual practice periods for today. Let us practice recognizing this certainty today. And let us rejoice that there is an answer to what seemed to be a conflict with no resolution possible. All things are possible to God. Freedom must be yours freedom must be yours because of God's plan, which cannot fail. So begin the 2 longer practice periods for today. I guess we're doing 2. Hold on. Hey, my buddy Eric just texted me. I guess I forgot to put the phone on silent. All good. Did we do 2 yesterday? Oh, yeah. I guess I forgot to say that in yesterday's lesson. Sorry, folks. Yesterday we were supposed to do 2 longer practice periods for 10 to 15 minutes. Uh-oh. That's all right. They'll understand it for those that are reading the lessons. So we're supposed to do 2 10 to 15 minute practice periods, morning and night ideally. So here we go. Let's go back. Begin the 2 longer practice periods today by thinking about today's idea and realizing that it contains 2 parts, each making equal contribution to the whole. God's plan for freedom will work, and other plans will not. Do not allow yourself to become depressed or angry at the second part, meaning that no other plans will work. It is inherent in the first, and in the first is your full release from all your own insane attempts and mad proposals to free yourself. They have led to depression and anger. But God's plan will succeed. It will lead to release and joy. It will lead to release and joy. You might still go through the clouds of uncertainty. This is normal. You stay on the path. It will lead to release and joy. Paragraph 9, remembering this, in your longer practice periods, let us devote the remainder of the extended practice period to asking God to reveal its plan to us. Ask very specifically, what would you have me do? Where would you have me go? What would you have me say? And to whom? Give God full charge of the rest of the practice period and let it tell you what needs to be done by you in its plan for your freedom. It will answer you in proportion to your willingness to hear its voice. Refuse not to hear. The very fact that you are doing these lessons proves you have some willingness to listen. This is enough to establish your claim to its answer. I've been doing these lessons for years, guys. And don't get distracted that it's going to be an audible voice. It might be an inner thought that seems so soft and peaceful and certain with a subtle direction. Call so-and-so. Do nothing. Go here. And we just learn to trust. This inner drive, the God drive, is leading us. Maybe you will hear a voice. Who knows? Be determined, it says. Be very determined. Give it charge. So the longer periods are really just literally kind of sitting with the idea that only its plan will work and all others will fail. That you're just kind of meditating on that. Maybe some ideas come into your mind like, oh, but wait a minute. We should go to Dubai and like buy a large tall building and build some apartment homes or cool. Yeah, that plan's not going to work. My freedom is not in that. My freedom is an inner remembrance of who I am. That is my freedom. Whatever version, but you just sit in silence for 10 to 15 minutes, letting that idea kind of recircle. Only God's plan will work. Only God's plan will work, no others. In the shorter practice periods, 1 to twice an hour, just tell yourself, holding judgments is the opposite of God's plan for freedom, and only its plan will work, right? So basically, all throughout the day, just kind of be aware of your mind wanting to have judgment or pass judgment or hold on to judgment about anyone or anything outside of you. And like once an hour, just basically say to yourself, only God's plan will work. Anytime I hold judgments against anyone or anything, this blocks its plan, and all I want is God's plan, even if I don't know what it is. So try to reach the light of the truth in you. Listen for God's answer. Listen for direction. Maybe journal afterwards. 2 longer practice periods and like 1 shorter every hour. It says try to remember the idea for today like 6 or 7 times an hour. Okay. As much as you can. There could be no better way to spend a half a minute or less, 15 seconds, to remember the source of your freedom and see where it is. So that might look like just going inside and going, this is where my freedom is right here. This is where my freedom is right here. And that's it. Maybe you do that every 4 or 5 times an hour. In between all of this, by the way, I want to say, for those doing the lessons, you're starting to realize it doesn't have to be serious, but this is total devotion, baby. This is total devotion. To the degree that you want this freedom, you'll have it. So don't take it all so seriously. Lighten up. Go to the lightenupmovement.com if you want to reach out, as I said. Feel free to comment or subscribe. I look forward to seeing you on another video real soon. Stay light, climb a tree, go play with some people, have some fun, be in the fearless expression you are. Stay well.